Okay.
Cullen, are you watching Ranch Fairy again?
Huh?
Are you watching Ranch Fairy again?
Leave me alone. No.
Are you weighing a bat?
18,000. What? He's right. 18,000 grains. Look, guys, in order to kill any squirrel, you've got to have 18,000 grains. If you go deer hunting with anything under, you're a moron. This right here is going to work. You just tie a little flippity-dippity on the end of this thing. Little broadhead, big animal. Let her fly. I think I'm onto something here. Give it a try. Today's topic on Bow Venture, is heavy arrows versus light arrows and everything in between. Stay tuned. Anchored in. We rolling?
We rolling.
Where's your Bow Venture hat?
I left it in the truck. But, got my Bowtech hat on, just as good.
Guys, check out these hats. Y'all want one? Pretty cool design. Got the cross, the broadhead is the V. Cross in the middle. Keep Christ in the middle of everything like we do. Let us know. Let us know if you want one. So, today's topic is on light arrows versus heavy arrows and a happy medium. So, I don't know, what do you want to discuss? Like light arrow being 350, heavy arrow being 650, 550,
Yeah,
something like
in
that.
that range.
And Ranch Fairy, he harps on heavy arrows all the time. And we're not going to disagree with him, but because a lot of the stuff he says is right, but there's also right in other ways too.
Yeah. I mean, everybody debates how fast it's getting there before the deer flinches or ducks, and a lot of that comes into play. But also, the thing I'm a firm believer in is the energy of that arrow that's transferred to the object you're hitting at a distance. Speed is a big factor in that. And when you have a heavier arrow, if you're shooting over a corn pile in your backyard and it's legal to bait deer in your state, and you're 15, 18 yards from your deer, 650, 700 grains, juice it up, get a lot of impact.
Yep.
Up close, you ain't got to worry about losing speed real fast. If you're somewhere where you're shooting 20, 30, 35 yards, maybe in some timber, oak trees, stuff like that, and you can maybe stretch out to 40 yards, I would not suggest doing that, because that arrow is very rapidly losing speed and starting to go down. When it starts to drop, it's dropping quickly. And
guys, and sorry to interrupt, but
no, you're good.
With everything in life, a happy medium is almost the best way to go. And same with arrows, in my opinion.
Moderation.
Like, yes, you can kill anything with 1,000 grain arrow. You can kill a lot of stuff with a 350 grain arrow. But when you're hunting deer, don't let anybody convince you that you need 650 grains. As a matter of fact, we have filmed a bunch of kills. And as y'all know, hunting deer, and I'm using deer as an example because that's what most people are hunting. But hunting deer, if you slow it down, you can watch. You wonder why you hit high a lot. You can watch that deer duck. So that's where I think speed, not over the top speed, but you need a little zip on your arrow to counteract that. And you can still throw a 480 grain arrow 290 feet per second. It's still heavy and fast. You can't go wrong with that, in my opinion and his opinion. There's been so many deer, bear, elk killed with a 350 grain arrow. It's ridiculous to us that certain people harp on just one way to do something.
Yeah. I mean, there's points you can argue back and forth about both sides, but in the grand scheme of things, you want to be able to ultimately be a good shot, a good ethical hunter. And if you're concerned with if you're hitting a spot this big at 20, 30 yards, your number one concern is get reps in, get practice in, first of all. Because you need to honor the animal. You don't want to go out there and wound everything. If it's a big trophy buck, you don't want to wound him and he go off in the creek somewhere and die 2 miles away. I mean, you need to be responsible when you take shots and practice and prepare. So,
and notice it's easy to argue both extremes, a light arrow, and it's easy to argue a heavy arrow.
Yep.
There's downfalls of both, but it's very, very hard to argue a happy medium.
Yeah. But speaking of happy medium, this broadhead here, it's a Swacker. It's got a little dent in it right there. This particular broadhead is made for a crossbow bolt.
3-inch.
Swacker, I believe it's 3-inch cut.
Yeah.
And it's pretty massive. Like I said, made for a crossbow bolt. I was actually hunting with a compound bow, and I ran out of Swackers. I was shooting these old green ones.
That's what I shoot.
Real
I
popular.
love those.
And I ran out of those, and I shot like 2 or 3 deer with my last one before I had to switch it up. But I went to the store and they were out of them, so I bought these. And they're 150 grains. I put them on a Gold Tip Hunter XT with this and the insert and everything. The whole arrow build come in at like 425, 430 grains, somewhere in that neighborhood. And at 23 and a half yards, this went into a doe's shoulder, right here in this shoulder blade, in the actual bone, split the bone. The bone actually went in two, through her heart, and right out behind this other shoulder, what you would say is a picture perfect shot on the exit. So to go through a bone, being low 400s at roughly 20 yards, I mean,
yeah,
that says a lot right there too.
I mean, look how many kids kill stuff with bows, and it's just it's a difficult topic because a lot of people can be brainwashed one way or the other.
Well, I mean, people even get into breaking down, okay, do you want a fixed blade or do you want a mechanical? And I've shot both over the years, and people sit there and debate with you all day that this is going to lose energy as it penetrates the deer. It's losing energy as these blades open up like that going in.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's just all how technical.
I mean, I shoot a mechanical, and they're like, well, they're not as tough, and I agree. But
the main reason
if I'm losing one mechanical and it's bent after I've smoked a 140-inch deer, but there's blood everywhere, I don't care how that mechanical broadhead if it's bent on the tip a little bit.
The main thing for me, I mean, we're target shooters, as you guys know, but you can take that field point or a gluing point, whatever you're shooting, throw it in your box, container, whatever, switch it out and put a Swacker on there, and you don't have to do any tuning whatsoever. A lot of fixed blades, you got to retune your bow to that broadhead.
Yeah.
And everybody has trouble with
fletching.
Yeah. So that's one main reason. I mean, if you throw this little Swacker on there, it's going to fly exactly the same. If anything, I've seen them hit just a little higher, and I'll have to move my indicator, but never any left and right issues.
Right.
So
yeah,
that's the main reason I like it. And I like to choose something I'm confident in. I like to stay in that 415 to 450.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that happy medium.
And I have a longer draw length and stuff, so I can be in that 480 range. To me is perfect because I'm still going about 282 feet per second. But yeah, this right here, I love muzzies. I love fixed blade. I love mechanical. I love everything that kills.
Yep.
This right here, though, if you look at it, is identical to this. It's basically fletching on the front of your arrow. So what you do give up whenever you're shooting fixed, it'd be smart to put a larger fletching on the back to guide that arrow better, because this right here can steer. So you need something large. So whenever you go down to something that's like a field tip, like a Swacker, you can just look and see how that's designed. You can afford less fletching on the back, which is going to be less drag at longer range. Thus, better speed, more energy. So just something to think about. But I love these. I love all sorts of broadheads, all sorts of arrows,
throwing together
all sorts of bows.
One of my old favorites here.
Oh, the 4-blade.
Muzzy's 4-blade, 100 grain.
There you go.
I've killed many deer, and I haven't had much trouble with them tuning either. They normally
No,
fly
they-
pretty
yeah,
straight.
yeah.
I think it's because it's a 4 versus a 3, but I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, well, you run big fletching on the back too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to fly like a dart.
Yeah. But
Cool.
I mean, overall, my take on the thing, 415 to 450, somewhere in that neighborhood, depending on what my bow likes, how my bow shoots, is really critical to me. Because if it shoots certain areas better, I'm going with those areas. I don't really care what they weigh.
Yeah.
Because I'm more concerned about shot placement, and I like to have that medium of it getting there fast and still having enough weight to have good penetration. So
Yep. And I noticed over time, like back in the late 90s, early 2000s, speed was the thing. Everybody's putting 300 grain arrows, 350 grain arrows in their bows. Man, I can shoot 315 feet per second. That arrow just whap, gets there to that deer. Well, now the tables are kind of turning a little bit, and it's the heavier, the slower, but more impact, but it's going overboard too far a little. And you can, there's a lot of, it's not as forgiving for an animal if you're throwing 700 grains through your bow. And I can dive into a whole bunch of reasons why, but happy medium, you can't go wrong. It's common sense.
if all else fails,
Just throw a bat in your bow.
broadhead on the end, good to go.
That's what I'm talking about. Where's my visor? All right, guys. Again, we're going to leave you like we do every time on a serious note, talking about the Lord and what He's done in our life. Give Him a try if you have not tried. If you're going through something, lean on Him. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Amen.
Amen. See y'all. Bow Venture out.